Hi, how are you doing? This is Pastor Cheryl. Um, this week's lectionary reading is on Luke 9:28 through 43a. There are two stories. Number one is the Transfiguration, and number two is the healing of a boy with an evil spirit. And like most older people, I have to wear bifocals in order to be able to read my Bible, which is not fine print. I'm just going to have to get something with larger print. Okay, the Transfiguration. About 8 days after Jesus said this, he took Peter, John, and James with him and went up to a mountain. This is Mount, I think it's called Horeb. It's just kind of a big hill to pray. As he was praying, the appearance of his face changed, and his clothes became as bright as a flash of lightning. Two men, Moses and Elijah, appeared in glorious splendor, talking with Jesus. They spoke about his departure, which he was about to bring in fulfillment at Jerusalem. Peter and his companions were very sleepy. When they became fully awake, they saw his glory and the two men standing with him. And the men were leaving Jesus. Peter said to them, Master, it is good for us to be here. Let us put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. He did not know what he was saying. While he was speaking, a cloud appeared and enveloped them, and they were afraid that they entered the cloud. They were afraid as they entered the cloud. A voice came from the cloud saying, This is my son, who I have chosen. Listen to him. When the voice had spoken, they found that Jesus was alone. The disciples kept this to themselves and told no one at that time what they had seen. Story 2. The healing of the boy. The next day they came down from the mountains. A large crowd met him, and the man in the crowd called out, Teacher, I beg you, look at my son, for he's my only child. A spirit seizes him and suddenly screams and throws him into convulsions so that he foams at the mouth, and it scarcely ever leaves him. It's destroying him. I begged your disciples to drive him out, but they could not. Oh, unbelieving and perverse generation, Jesus replied, how long shall I stay with you and put up with you? Bring your son here. Even while the boy was coming, the demon that threw him to the ground in a convulsion. But Jesus rebuked the evil spirit, healed the boy, and gave him back to the father. And they were all amazed at the greatness of God. While everyone was marveling at all Jesus had said, he said to his disciples, Listen carefully to what I am about to tell you. The Son of Man is going to be betrayed unto the hands of men. But he did not understand. They did not understand what he was taught, what he meant. It was hidden from them, so that they did not grasp, and they were afraid to ask him about it. That's usually where I wear my glasses. I usually have them on top of my head. I don't wear them around the house. My eyes are really not that bad. Most parents, I think most all parents, really love their children a lot. They love them a great deal. And we could see that. I mean, God said he loved his son, and he did. And then this father was brought his sick child to Jesus, and who was apparently possessed by an evil spirit, and he loved his son a lot. That's what kids are all about. You love them a lot. Your whole life is wrapped up around them. If something happens to the child, you're frantic. Um, if the child gets sick, I mean, you just, you can't function. You're so upset and obsessed with this kid. Anyway, um, this reminds me of, we had a neighbor. She lived next door to us, and I will call her Mrs. W. And Mrs. W, um, I remember she had two boys, but prior to the two boys that we remember, there was apparently a little girl, and the little girl had died. It was a toddler. And every year around that child's birthday, she would come over crying with photos of her little girl and cry, and she just never got over that child's death. She died as a toddler. I don't know what she died of. Um, she never said. But anyway, during that time, a few years later, her child, her youngest son, got a fellow classmate at high school pregnant. And he was seeing this high school girl, and they thought it would be the right thing for those two, they thought, to get married. I don't remember them getting married. Too young. They were too young. Anyway, Mrs. W ended up taking care of the baby a lot. And she was thrilled with this child. And ironically, it grew up to look a lot like the child that died. And we felt this is God's way of healing Mrs. W, who lost her little girl. And, children mean so much to people. They really, really do. That's their whole life. So Mrs. W was healed of that child's death by getting, a grandchild that looked exactly like the kid that died. And we just couldn't get over it. And so this lets us know how much God loves us as his children. And, we are everything to him. We mean so much to him. We are his kids. I'm hearing God right now saying, "You're right, you're right." So he's telling me that we mean everything to him. And we have to think about that and consider that and know that God loves us very, very much. And anyway, the phone allows me to record 10 minutes because it's an older phone. I need to get a newer one. And it gets complicated ordering one over the internet. And so, anyway, so I will have to say goodbye now. I'm reaching my limit. And, please put in the comments below prayer requests. You would like someone to be prayed. Our group is a group that prays for people. And also ring the bell. And then put a thumbs up so that you can get updates. And the intention behind doing this is we have some shut-ins, and then we also have what you call online church members so that they can reach us. And so anyway, well, thank you. Thank you very much, and may God be with you. Bye-bye.